Karen had told me she was going to do a video, and she didn't tell me she was going to say all of the important things that I was going to say about Robert. So I'm just going to say them again, because I think they deserve repeating. Mostly, I'm kidding. But before I do, I just wanted to say a word about this organization and the woman who leads it. It's hard to overstate, really, the importance of the American Freedom Alliance, in my estimation. Those of you who are still surviving behind enemy lines here in Southern California know how vital it is to have people who care about our country lifted up, given platforms, helped to amplify the things we hold dear. And there is simply no one better, certainly that I can find, west of the Rockies, and arguably across the country, than Karen and her team. And it's a privilege to be with you. Amen. So, just a little bit more texture on Robert. And I'm going to consult some notes here because it's hard when you, as you've just seen here, when you have so much to work with, to acknowledge it properly and efficiently. So I'm going to consult these notes. I consider Robert, quite simply, to be one of the most brilliant, certainly one of the most prodigiously productive, and one of the most courageous scholars of our time, and arguably of any time. He has, as has been mentioned, and now exhibited, 31 books, and I checked, and it's still 31. But it is subject to change. And I'm fond of saying he writes faster than I read, so I'm about 20 books back and not closing on him. He's got, think of it, 31 books. He started in 2022. That's more than one a year. This is unbelievable. And not only that, but he's got 2 more that are in the hopper. They're counting among the 31, and I just want to give a plug to them because I think, as is true of a number of the books that he's already produced, they certainly deserve to be, and I hope will be, bestsellers. He's actually got 2 that are New York Times bestsellers. Imagine that. And 2 others that are just garden variety bestsellers. But in addition, he's got coming now, Holy Hell, Islam's Abuse of Women and the Infidels Who Enable It. Hard to imagine a more important contribution to the body of work in this space that he's done. That's due out in November. And for those of you who are planning ahead, in April of next year, he has coming The Tragedy of Islam, Failure and Excuses. Both, I hasten to add, are available for pre-order now. So get your phones out and get cracking. In addition to this incredible body of written material in book form, as has been mentioned in the video, he's also been unbelievably, prodigiously productive in essays and articles and commentaries, to say nothing of interviews, including, I'm very pleased to say, as a regular featured contributor to my program, Securing America, on Real America's Voice. He is, in short, one of the go-to people. And fortunately, an awful lot of important people go to Robert Spencer, as should we all. I wanted to say that as important as is this incredible corpus on a topic very much on my heart, and I think on all of yours too, namely authoritative Islam and the Sharia doctrine that impels its adherents to engage in jihad, whether of the violent kind, or as Robert has described it, the stealthy kind. He's also, notably through his indispensable Jihad Watch, a project of the David Horowitz Freedom Center, of which he is a Shulman Fellow. Thank you, Bob, for that. He is also a guy who spends time doing something desperately needed at the moment, which is connecting the dots between what the Sharia adherents or Sharia supremacists are intent on doing to us and their partners in crime. That would be the globalists who are trying to impose upon our country world government, and of course the communists, led by the Chinese Communist Party. As Karen's video mentioned, we were here back in July for a program on what I insisted on calling not just the red-green axis between the communists on the one hand and the Sharia supremacists on the other, but the blue axis for those world government, UN, blue helmet types. And the thing that Robert gets better than anybody, I believe, is the fact that while all of these characters have their own desired end states in mind, namely running the world according to their lights, they have one thing in common at the moment, and that is getting rid of the impediment to those ambitions, which is us. And so I am personally profoundly grateful to Robert for the work he does at Jihad Watch, as well as in all of these other respects, for doing that kind of dot connecting, for helping all of us understand who it is we're up against, what they are trying to do to us, and how they are going about it. And I cannot strongly enough encourage you to just make jihadwatch.org a regular place you visit, because it's not just what he's telling you about what's happening in our own country, but he's really keeping his eye on it all over the world. And he's got his colleague Christine Douglas Williams here too, who does a fair job of contributing her part to it. I want to thank you too, Christine. But these are really important folks doing really important work, and it is worthy of every effort we can make to amplify it further. And that's, of course, why we're here. I don't honestly think there could be a more important time for Robert Spencer's voice to be heard and his body of work to be, as I say, amplified. I am proud to call him not only a cherished friend, but a valued colleague and mentor. And I think there are probably not a few of you in this room who feel the same way. And for more than 2 decades, I've had that privilege. And so it is the greatest of delight to be able to say on this occasion, not only how much I revere him and am grateful for his sacrifices, not least that business that was alluded to. By the way, the censorship, the suppression, the deplatforming, the demonetizing, and all of that. But the efforts to kill him twice. Once by mass murder, gunshot, the other by poison. And praise be to God, he is still with us. And that was about 20 books ago. Imagine. I mean, think of Mozart. Had he had another 20 years, we've been blessed. So I just want to say thank you, Robert Spencer, not only on my own behalf and that of AFA, but on behalf of a grateful nation for your service to our country, past, present, and continuing. God bless you, sir. Come on up and get your award.
Anyway, I was going to come up and say how deeply unworthy I am of this great honor. And then I remembered, I was reminded this morning actually of Golda Meir telling someone who was getting an award, "Don't be so humble, you're not that great." And so I will spare you all of that, but in any case, I am immensely honored and thank you. And it is actually 32 books now. A new one will be out, available for pre-order on Amazon very soon, and actually out very soon because it's a rush, called Intifada on the Hudson, The Selling of Zohran Mamdani. And I have been reading and researching about nothing but Zohran Mamdani for the last month and wrote this thing quickly. I hope that it might prevent him from becoming mayor or help do so, but even if he does become mayor of New York, as seems likely, then perhaps it will serve as a guide to why we should never do that again. But of course, he will be giving us abundant illustration of that himself. In any case, I want to thank one particular individual because if it had not been for the late, great David Horowitz, the ideas that I have tried to spread among, well, whoever was willing to consider them would probably never have gotten as much of a hearing at a time when pretty much every side of the political spectrum had decided that all religions are essentially good and it doesn't really matter which one you have as long as you have one, and they all teach magnanimity and brotherhood and peace. David Horowitz was willing to allow for an alternative viewpoint, as unpopular as it was, and still is, of course, in the wider culture. And I think that, of course, that's crucial for understanding what we're dealing with. We have to understand the belief system that underlies it. And yet, even to this day, for example, if you look at the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, every last communique from Hamas and from Fatah and from the Palestinian Authority and every other group speaks all about Islam when talking about what the conflict is about, and not a single State Department document or UN document or EU document ever makes any mention of Islam in connection with the conflict. And so if we are going to understand that conflict properly, I would suggest we have to respect our enemies enough to take their word for why they are doing what they are doing, and only when we do that will we be able to deal with the problem adequately. Thank you. And so that, writ large, is the core of all my work, that beliefs matter. They tell us this every day. We should take them seriously, and also take our own beliefs seriously, and understand that the principles of a free society, the principles that have made for the greatest civilization on the planet in the history of the world, are under severe threat, and to react accordingly. Thank you very much.